So talk us through now, cold call, you get a little bit of success.
Yeah.
Social media, you have a huge, we'll talk about your present day, but you have a huge, you're 26 years old, you have a huge following.
Yeah.
Day one, like, oh, I need to do this. What did you do?
So it was actually, I was kind of a buildup. I will say I've always been like an attention whore. So it kind of was a calling to me. So it came very painless. I was always posting, but I didn't quite learn how to do it with purpose until I would say about 2 years ago. Because until then I was constantly cold calling and then stopped cold calling. So my business was like a roller coaster. But when I started, so on the business side, everything I do is based on organic, right? I don't really pay for leads. I don't advertise anything. All of my following came very naturally. And what I did was I started sharing my hobbies with people, right? Because I figured, you know what, real estate is cool and all, but after you're done buying a house, you don't really care that much. That's the reality. So I shared, if I'm into watches, cars, sports, basketball, Muay Thai, all my hobbies, I share on my Instagram. And that's what allowed me to build a much better connection with my following, which is what resulted in my business growing exponentially from year 4 to year 5.
All right, but talk us through like a specific example here, right? Like someone says like, oh, this guy was at the Bulls game. Like, I think a lot of our listeners say that sounds great, but like, let's dive in a little bit more.
Okay. So I'll give you an example. I'm into basketball, right? So every morning, every Thursday at 6 a.m., I play basketball and I make sure I put it on my Instagram stories. Sometimes I'll make a post just about me playing basketball. And I always ask a question, something engaging to let people know I'm here, right? And they need to reply to me. And a lot of times I will set up 1v1 games with complete strangers that are just following me and we go play basketball like that. Same with Muay Thai or car meets, right? If I'm going to a car meet, I might get there. I make sure I share it on my story. So like people actually know here I am. And then my DMs just go with all the car guys of what they like, what cars they like, what cars they hate. I might point to a Corvette and say, you know what? It's red, but it would look much better in black, right? And then all the comments arguing against it. So that's if you're growing on Instagram. TikTok is really where things are happening for me, is where most of my following came in from. And the exact specifics you can do on TikTok, if we can get into the actual trending stuff, is pick first you have to be going through it enough to know exactly like what's trending. Once you recognize what's trending, the algorithm's already going to boost if you can kind of tap in to what's happening with that trend, right? So you recognize a sound, and then in my head, I'm always thinking, how can I take this sound, apply it to real estate or whatever, and then make it educational and entertaining to get that engagement I need to get that following. And that's where majority of my stuff came from, is actually TikTok, because growing on there is significantly easier going organic. Does that make sense? I feel like I kind of did 3 circles there for you.
No, it makes sense. Mark, jump in. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, I mean, it's impressive, but it sounds so simple.
It really is, man. It really is. It's not rocket science for me. I just make sure it's the captions. If I have to be anything specific, it's not posting boring stuff and boring captions. And that is all it is. To me, like, I can only give you real estate examples because I don't know what people do in other fields, right? So a lot of realtors will have like, just listed, right? It's just a house, a brand new house posted, just listed, just sold, come to my open house, yada, 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 right? But that's kind of boring. And you'll see their engagement isn't as good. But once you start posting like a story, you start like having an emotional connection with the person through your caption and sharing a story, that's really where it gets a lot better for you.
Awesome. No, it makes sense. Because I think we're in the world right now of just noise. It's too easy to scroll down, scroll left, go to a different app. And what you're able to do is to kind of pull people in. I mean, telling stories is like becoming one of the 101 of marketing, story brand. But so you got this great content. I mean, I got your YouTube page pulled up right now. You have 11,000 subscribers. Like that's impressive. Like,
just hit it today too.
How is that? How are you translating that to your business, and how are you translating that to actual deals you're getting done, and how are you going to kind of use this in the investment side of things?
Yeah. To be honest, I made a mistake with that YouTube channel because as you see, the content I'm making is mostly for real estate agents, right? And the reality is real estate agents don't need real estate agents. They need clients. And I don't need a following full of real estate agents. So that was a mistake. But you know what? I enjoy making the content, so I'm going to keep doing it. Biggest lesson I learned is the content you make is the audience you will attract, right? So on YouTube, I'm getting a lot of real estate agents, which doesn't necessarily get me business. I've gotten a couple of deals from it from people who haven't gotten their license yet, but they have property to sell. But it's not really consistent business, right? I've just got a huge real estate following. I get referrals across the nation, which is helpful, but it's not really something I can rely on. What that is really good for is just building my presence, my brand in my own industry, like my authority. So when I need to make like a move, for example, I just started a team, right? Generally, recruiting is like the hardest part in real estate, is finding quality agents that want to join me, right? And pitching them and da-da-da. But for me, because I had that YouTube channel, all I had to do was make one vlog mentioning I'm starting a team. I have 15 interviews and I was able to pick like the cream of the crop. People were willing to work hard, you know, and they're very like-minded because that's the content I make, right? So on YouTube, I'm actually shifting. I have another channel where I make local content that's very specific. It won't get as many views, but it will lead to a lot more business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that local content. Like, how deep do you dive on these videos, right? Because you want to appeal to as many people as possible, but you also want to provide the most value possible. Talk about like that tightrope walk that you got to do.
It's also very hard as an agent because I have certain guidelines. Like I made a video about the 5 worst neighborhoods in Chicago. I had to take it down very quickly because I got a call. I got IDFPR on my phone saying, "You want to lose your license or what, buddy?" I was like, "Uh-oh." So I had to take that down. So I'm very cautious. I try not to get too, like, for example, I made one going over the Chicago suburbs and just explain the different regions, right? You got the North Shore, Northwest, Western, Southwest, and South, right? Just describing these are the regions. And this is where you can expect, like the North Shore, if you want to spend some money, that's where you go. If you want reasonable housing, right, 300, 400K, the Northwest suburbs, Western suburbs, and that was just very basic level, right? And then in future videos, I isolate and then I dive deep. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So next one I'm going to make is going to be the top 10 suburbs in Chicago, in top 10 Chicago suburbs. And again, content I make is the audience I attract. So I want clients looking in the suburbs, right? So I'm going to be focusing on the top 10 best suburbs, and I'm going to go over them in regards to criteria. And then the next 10 videos are already made because now I'm going to break down each and every city in a more like detailed average price point, days on market, what homes, what school districts, ratings, all the specifics.